Hi there. Just about the previous video, I wasn't that nice to the lady. She was there to talk to me, which it was very good. I think that the whole awareness thing is an important factor, but you really have to do it in the right way. I think kind of my conclusion is that it's always a battle of lifestyles. It's a battle of ideas about the lifestyle of the people you're dealing with, and if you don't like the lifestyle of them, then you won't be listening to their arguments. So it's much broader than what somebody says. It's what the image that they present, and usually these days the image of the Occupy movement is one we simply don't want to be associated with. Living in tents on the street, nobody does that. That's why there are so many houses and people living in all kinds of apartments in many ways, but not in tents on the street and trying to play guitar. And that's if you want to look for that in Holland, there's festivals and there's Occupy Amsterdam. I think that's the mistake. So you really have to bring the message from a different type of environment, and I'm working on that with the climate action. So basically, if you want to bring a climate action message in the right way, you have to do it as if you are part of the mainstream, part of the attractive mainstream. And that's also, of course, what the dominating banking system project. It's a lifestyle that you basically aspire to, and for that reason you're ready to listen, because you might basically find some part of what some people say that will give you access to that lifestyle. It's like you're trying to open a door, and I think that's an important lesson to learn about communication in general for me personally. So I'll try to adapt to that and try to show a more complete and a more attractive lifestyle as I bring my message. I think then it will be more successful. Another thing that I realize is that in this world you have extreme amount of liars, which are all, let's say, descendants and pupils of Freud and psychoanalysis, and let's say working on the subconscious of people, and which means that they try to present a part of what you, or something that you find important, try to adopt that, and then when you have your attention towards that, they try to guide that attention in the direction that they want to. So I can and lifestyle is part of that, of course. It's a very effective way, because that's how we check whether it's generated specifically for us, or it's general. It's basically unintentional. Of course, if something that somebody shows is unintentional, we're more willing to trust that it's veracity then, or it seems unintentional, then we're more willing to trust it as a let's say truthful, honest sign of somebody's true personality. So if we want to gauge or try to kind of find out what we think about somebody, then the less intentional something seems, the better. So that's lifestyle. That's something that you do in a way that seems unintentional. But these days there's many people that basically have focus on specific words, specific ways of communicating, especially to tailor towards a certain audience. If you have a male movie star on the screen, then he would like to say the words deep and intense if he has a female audience, because that's almost seems like trigger words that have been programmed, and you hear it many times over. Now, and you can find those, and I would almost suspect that there's two ways let's say two groups of people, and one group of people tries to program certain trigger words, install them as a behavior trigger in people, and then uses them and helps each other doing that. So that means that they speak the same language and they desire the same results as a result of what they say. So which is in a way breaking the pattern of that says that everybody has his own world and his own language. This is a little bit about NLP and communication. By deciding as a group that you have a specific language and you desire a specific result or a specific effect of what you say to people, then you're basically breaking that whole vision of having multiple languages and always adapting to somebody else. These people will only adapt to you to teach you and to install in you terms that they're trying to use in the future, or try to have their bodies use. And what you get then, if that works, and if you're dumb enough to fall for it, and if you don't have your own initiative, and you don't, you're not aware enough, then you'll find that that you become kind of a robot in the hands of a group of people, where the group of people will always say the same things, no matter who you're talking to. And I think there's a deeper reasoning behind that, which is something that I'm, let's say, a personal opinion, is that in guiding people, you don't really care about the individual. You want to care about the behavior that they have and the effect of that behavior. So if you don't want to have the behavior, then you simply have to be able to address that. Or you don't want to have, let's say, people behaving in a certain manner, you have to be able to address that. And in order to address that in a large group of people, you have to install certain beliefs, responses. And doing that is simply could simply be a job done by many people, and then a few people can decide what to do with those, let's say, controls that you install. Maybe, I hope you follow my drift. It's a conditioning process, and if you view it as such, then it makes a lot of sense. So basically, you're the media, you know what you want your media outlets to say, and my opinion is that the media, general media these days, is trying to condition people to be as immoral as possible, because self-loathing opens you up to other leaders, because you basically hate yourself. So then you look for somebody else to give you a better life, and to guide you towards a life where you have more meaning and more purpose. So that's what the media is up to, and it basically tries to bind your mind to the most primitive of motivations, so sex and drugs, alcohol, and trying to get you to focus on that, so that those are, that the most fundamental motivations are theirs. They can control it then. I hope you follow what I'm saying here. Of course, the key in the end is to retain and have your own control, and have, of course, confirmation of the fact that you run your own life. And for that reason, and I think it's kind of inspired with what the woman said at the Occupy gathering in Amsterdam. Find your passion. Of course, find your passion is another way to say, there's the forest, run into the forest, lose yourself. And that's, of course, once again, a good way to make people non-cooperative with each other. Make them let's say, self-confident, make them useless, because my passion might be, let's say, paperclip bending, and I might be doing that all day, and I might be, of course, I'm being supported in my own egotism. Then, if somebody says, find your passion and go after it, it's completely opposite to what we need. We need, of course, we need freedom for people, but we also need a system that works. And the carbon credit system works without people. It basically has machines doing the work and some people that are replaceable. So it basically works without people. And that's why, people are telling you to find your passion, have your own idea, go do your thing, enjoy. That's exactly what Ronald Reagan said. Have fun. Play some Michael Jackson 5 music. Can you feel it? And you'll know that this is, the era we want to live it up. And that's unwise. That's basically, it's devoid of wisdom. It doesn't show that you have a vision of a future. It doesn't show that you have empathy with your fellow human beings. It basically it creates a race. It's not a race, but a community that has no survival instinct at all, but is basically a large group of self-induced automata, basically automatic human beings. And it always seems like you're then kind of going into the doom scenario vision, but that's not it. It's basically that's you have the human mind. It has two parts. It has one part where it tries to be social and interact in order to achieve what it needs, to get what it needs, and the other part that has to be more or less automatic. Otherwise, you don't have the capacity in your brain to reconclude and refigure out everything all the time. So you have stored memories, stored behavior, that you simply run these procedures. Especially when things go fast, you don't have time to learn how to run away. If you have to run away from something and you have to jump over a fence, you'll simply do it, or you have to climb a tree, or you have to dive into the water, or you have to catch a bus or whatever. Those are all things that you can do quickly, automatically, and that you don't have to think about. And that's because you learn. Basically, you use the channel capacity of your brain to teach yourself those things before, and then you run them automatically. Now, so the explanation of the current situation is very simple. There's machines that do the work. There's carbon fuels that feed the machines. There's a financial system that basically channels the carbon fuels, and there's human beings that preferably are addressable exactly the same as the machines, to make the whole thing more reliable and to make the throughput of the whole system bigger. So the message is that human beings, if there's enough carbon, which there was at the beginning of the Reagan era, and which there isn't now, people would like to say that they can use gas and do exactly the same thing for a while. If you look at the world that way, so you have a gas-powered world, then the people in it need to be automatic. They have to be conditioned, and they have to be kept behaviorally within a very strict pattern in order to maximize the throughput, which is what is being maximized, because that maximizes the fees and enables a competitive lifestyle of the people at the top. So that's where the drive to make people respond automatically and uniformly comes from. Even if you have like 50 different styles of kitchen and lifestyle and IKEA, whatever, fashion, it's still 50 different specific styles, because we're millions of people and we're all sharing those styles together. And of course there's volume, and there can be a false competition between Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola. All that stuff can go on, but in the end you have to a certain percentage of the people has to want to drink Coca-Cola, and they have to be conditioned to it, and there has to be a way to do that. And that's the carbon credit world, which and the current very newsworthy ACTA and SOPA and PIPA push has a lot to do with that, because if you can restrict the imagination and the creative powers of people and supply them with the same images, and then build that into their economical framework, which is basically your fence that is built around you, because economical freedom is real freedom, then you can make that system run for a while, and it will be very hard to break through it. If you write a piece about, I write a piece about carbon credit, and I refer to different companies, and I might not even be able to use the names of the companies on the strict ACTA laws. I might not be able to sew together or sew together a pair of jeans at home, because those are patented jeans. And there's nothing I can make anymore as an individual in order to give myself, provide wealth to myself. Only to make sure that there's no way out of the carbon credit run system. So that we will have to switch to gas depletion in the part of the world where that's an option. And otherwise we'll just destitute, and we have an ugly lifestyle that nobody can associate with. So I hope this kind of, so the way it's constructed in my mind is that you have the carbon credit system. Carbon is running out. You need to restrict consumption to a specific group. You have to have control over that group, otherwise they're going to find alternatives, because that's the most able group, that's the best, most powerful group that can do anything. And so you have to restrict copyright, you have to restrict access to new material, so that you can put them in a bubble and make sure that they'll keep going with your carbon consumption that generates the fees to provide your competitively rich lifestyle at the top. Alternatively, you release all that creative energy. You basically say, well, okay, we have to have the resources for, not for consumption of all kinds of nonsense, but for the generation of new power sources. With that we can, of course, regeneratively create more power sources and build a new future based on renewables. But that renewable future will be yours, because all these power sources will be quite local, because transportation of energy costs energy. So it doesn't make any sense to do that on the global scale. So there's no global direction. So you might as well develop your own culture individually, locally, together. And therefore we release all your automatic behaviors. We are not going to program you, except maybe teach you something that's useful in order to get to the basic premise of being able to generate your own energy, to take care of yourself medically, to have fun. And then when you have that renewable future and there's no longer a central control, and we have all these many cultures, we still don't have enough energy to fight each other, so we won't have much war, and we will have a lot of wealth and happiness ever after. But there won't be a competitive top tier that can competitively fight for a better lifestyle. Very long story. This is a very long video, and actually I had a little accident, so I don't want to talk too much. But that's the alternative. The alternative is to face the the carbon crunch. Credit crunch is completely irrelevant. You can forget about that. You can simply, just abandon the New York Stock Exchange. Of course, you'll get a huge energy crisis with the companies, because where are they going to get the funds to buy their energy? But that has to be resolved anyway. So forget about the financial world, forget about stock trading, and forget about the copyright cartel. You can all forget about everything that has to do with that, and lose that control structure. Ration fossil fuels in order to make renewables, and then you can go to a renewable future. Or you can basically allow yourself to be locked up into the framework that is only there to make you, let's say, not look outside the bus and see the ravine in the future, or not look outside the Titanic and see the fact that it's sinking, but simply force you to enjoy the movie on the bus or the dinner on the Titanic until the water moves above your nostrils and you're basically gone. That's why I talk about it. I think it's a very dangerous type of capture, and it is really like an addiction, because just like a heroin addict foregoes every he doesn't have a job, he doesn't look for food, he doesn't take care of his body, because the primary reward system is triggered by the heroin and dopamine and or opiate equivalents. Our society is addicted to its lifestyle, and allows it to be allowed itself to be kept on that high until it's simply untenable. And I think that's really dangerous. That's why I'm making these videos. Thanks for listening.